music. Let's go. I'm your boy Ro, OG member of the Orange Bowl Boys, and welcome to another successful edition of Student of the Game, one in which your Miami Hurricanes beat the Florida Gators 26-7 off a dominant performance defensively. So let's go over to that side of the ball first and over to the film, shall we? You know what the Miami Hurricane advantage is? You don't have to commit a lot to create pressure. And here at the line of scrimmage, Florida Gators, it's a third down. They would be 0 for 13 on third downs. And they know that the pass rush for Miami is formidable. So if you're watching on the screen, they're in a max protection kind of a scheme. They're going to utilize a slot and a tight end to kind of chip and help out and then go out for last second kind of checkdowns. But here's the thing. It's 7 versus 4. And when you can collapse the pocket with 4 Miami defensive linemen versus their 7, good things can happen. And on the back end, just zone coverage. University of Miami is going to drop 7 into zone coverage. We're going to watch the play unfold. There you go. They're staying in 7 versus 4. Look, already flushed the quarterback. And I will say this too. You could just count the time that DJ Lagway looks and decides to go. It's not very long here, and I'm gone, right? Miami does a very good job with just 4 versus 7, and you can see on the back end all the zone eyes, right? That's kind of been our subject matter this early season in 25. Miami can beat you in man. In this case, dropping 7 into zone. You don't have to commit a lot. You could keep a lot on the back end. We're off and running, Canes fans. So over to the offensive side of the ball we go, and on this first drive, the University of Miami is cooking. They come out in ace gun, 2x2. They're in their 11-set personnel. There's your 1 running back. This is 1 tight end. And you're going to see at the top of the screen an out and up from C.J. Daniels. Malachi Toney's going to hit what I believe is a choice route. He's going to go ahead and read the defender, and we'll get to that. But let's look at the protection first because it always starts there. Whereas on the last clip, the University of Miami only had to rush 4, and they got home and blew up a 7-man max protection kind of a look. Well, Florida's not getting home here. The protection is absolutely flawless. Just standard pass pro. You're going to see Mark Fletcher at the top of the screen, chip, go ahead and deliver it. They're punishing people, right? They're looking to inflict damage. Carson Beck has all the time in the world to go ahead and get this little stop route. Again, I'm going to make the case that it's choice. So I want you to see this at the top of the screen, okay? When I'm looking at this on film, I'm watching Malachi Toney. He's immediately picking up like his defender. Right? He's not running a route. He's reading something, and this is what choice does. So when you snap the ball and he's reading, he's looking, you're going to see right here at the top of the screen, there's like inside leverage. He's inside of Malachi Toney. So Malachi Toney now has a decision. All right, and what's my decision? All right, am I going to go ahead and bring this in, or am I going to bring this back and throttle outside? Well, you know where that goes. Great by Carson Beck. He's reading it too because that's the one thing with choice, right? We have to kind of look at that receiver just a little bit more once I lock in on that side, and goes ahead and delivers the ball perfectly, sits down, finds that soft spot. I believe he read the leverage, and that's what led to the first down. I really like the design of this RPO from the University of Miami's 21-set personnel. You see 2 running backs on the screen and 1 tight end. And when the University of Miami uses its pin and pull kind of, blocking style, what it does, it puts that defense in kind of a numbers blenders game, right? So I'll explain. Now, obviously, this is going to be a pass, but I want you to see what the run option to this did to the defense. Because at the snap of the ball, you're going to see some offensive linemen, they're pinning why some offensive linemen are pulling, all right? So pinning and pulling. And when they pull, we're going to stop at this juncture right here. Okay, there it is. So Florida, right, they got to account that right of center, there's 5 offensive linemen, including a tight end, on this side of the ball now. So you could get out leveraged really quickly. So what does it do? Well, the Florida defense, now you can kind of see them. They're kind of all huddled up in here because they have to attribute for that. So that's why it's dangerous in the numbers game when you're running that pin and pull. Now let's look over to the pass because this is what gets it open. All the Florida defenders are kind of sucked up into that box, so you're allowing a 3 versus 3 kind of situation. And when you have the 3-on-3, you're asking your running back, can you make a guy miss? And the answer here is yes, I can make somebody miss. Now, you got to give all the credit in the world because you want to see how a team's culture and identity is. Just look at their wide receivers. How do their wide receivers want to go ahead and block? Well, that's impressive. University of Miami now threatening to score on this first drive off of the backs of a pin and pull RPO from their 21 set personnel. Quick hitter clip, I just wanted to go ahead and praise the wherewithal of a right tackle here and the offensive line making sure that they get this final push. University of Miami coming out in big boy football, 32 set personnel, 3 running backs, 2 tight ends are on the screen. Now, this is what I wanted to highlight because at the snap of the ball, you're going to get right here. Okay, so right tackle, right here, he's engaged. Okay, you see him engaged? Okay. But this offensive line's always looking for work, always looking to do something extra. So look at what he does, okay? Disengages, gets behind, gets the final push, bang. After 4 games, it doesn't matter what offense the University of Miami has played, they can bring pressure, and they only have to bring 4 to do it. And it's this setup that's been particularly effective, almost a cheat code for the University of Miami, and that is when they go ahead and line up Ruben Bain at the top of the screen, one-on-one, and then right of center, you essentially just kind of like front load that other side. So it's forcing teams to basically slide and fan the protection away from Ruben Bain, which the University of Florida is about to do in this direction. Okay, cool. And now look at the one-on-one matchup first. Let's look at what Ruben Bain is able to accomplish, all right? Ruben Bain, they go ahead and say, all right, we're going to take this one-on-one with my left tackle. The left tackle looks like he just got shot in the chest by a cannonball. And here comes a cannon. Bang, right? You saw that. That looks violent. DJ Lagway, this is a throw for self-preservation. He's falling down. Ball gets out to the flat. Now, on the other side, you're going to see Akeem Messidor just win clean. Just going to knife in between the right guard, right tackle. This is what happens. Could be a potential hold coming here. He's getting hooked, but it doesn't matter. And then it gets wrapped up. So what are you able to do on the back end? Well, you can preserve a lot. And what breaks up this play? Very good coverage right here by Corey Heatherman, defensive coordinator. You just got a curl flat defender, right? So curl flat, he's going to look at the curl first. Okay, it's there. I sit the curl, and then I'm going to hit the flat. Bang, wrap it up. Nothing happens there. Did I just say bang and it wasn't a touchdown? Yeah, but, defense deserves, and look, ruthless aggression. Now they're going to go ahead and commit 6 Miami Hurricanes to the ball. That's perfect. This defense is good. I just see a building block, so I just wanted to share. But the University of Florida is starting to make an adjustment, and they're going to bring their safety in the box. And what they're keying on right off the rip is you're going to see this is just going to go outside the tackle box, right? University of Miami just pulled an offensive lineman. There you see it going in this direction. Now, once the pulling lineman happens, this was a key, a downhill key. Safety is now going to come down into the box. You're going to see that the safety is going to be clear out here to go ahead and make a tackle. All right, cool. Because he's known as a free hitter. Nobody's attributing for him in the run game. That's just something that happens. But the University of Miami has a very, very unique, opportunity in the future, because when you have somebody playing that kind of a key, and this is something you can kind of look for in the future, you got a safety playing that down in the box. Well, we just go ahead and just take this play action, and it's just me thinking outside the box. But if you would have literally had this wide receiver just go now, there's nobody in that little window out there. Just saying. This is student of the game. We try to learn everything, but sometimes I just put a woulda, coulda, shoulda. Quick hitter clip, but the University of Miami is going to get victimized by a sack, and the Florida Gators are just going to lock it up in man coverage, and it's a coverage sack. Tip your cap and move on. And there's something else that leads to this. Right here at the snap of the ball, nothing there. We talked about the man coverage, but it's this defender right here who's basically spying Mark Fletcher, and astutely, because, if this gets locked up, Mark Fletcher is going to be the check down. We have been very successful hitting this check down, and you're going to see Carson Beck when he goes and looks for the check down. He sees it, and now there's already a paw in his face, and he's like, yeah, it's not there. All right, so Got to tip your cap. Florida Gators win that one, but that's why the sack occurred. University of Miami on defense, again, only needing to bring 4. Now it's a little bit of a simulated pressure front. 2 of these defenders are going to go ahead and break off into zone. But pay attention to Akeem Messidor and his one-on-one matchup right here. Here's Akeem. He slid inside, so he's at the defensive tackle position right now. Just look at his offensive lineman, and it reminded me of somebody trying to ride a bull for the first time. So pay attention. Obviously, DJ Lagway gets flushed. He's going to slide a little bit early. Good call to go ahead and keep that short. Again, reminder to all the folks at home, University of Florida was 0 for 13 on third downs. That was 3rd and 6, and they have to punt. So you know the theme of this video, University of Miami only needs to bring 4, but sometimes it's what 4 are coming. It's a simulated pressure. University of Miami are going to feint this double A gap pressure look. It's not going to come. And actually, the Florida Gators does a good job really not reacting to that because they pull off immediately. But here's the problem. On the backside, you have Akeem Messidor and Ruben Bay next to each other. So they're going to garner a lot of attention. But the problem there is, you still kind of didn't account for somebody else. So we get home at the linebacker position, walked up. That's going to be great. And I love when you only bring the 4. It doesn't matter which 4 come. Just look at everything on the back end. So this is what DJ Lagway is looking for. Just look, everything is just confusing. And by the time you can even figure it out, no bueno. Bam! Sack. So I've already taken the liberty to show you kind of how this RPO works. And that is coming across the formation is you're selling the illusion of a block. And that's how this gets wide open. Very effective play by the University of Miami. There's a block, boom. I mean, that's high school wide open. Always got to take inventory when things get high school wide open. That's how it comes open. And just appreciate the play at the whoop, leaps them. Great job there by the University of Miami. So on this Carson Beck interception, you're just going to watch the DB make a heady play and go from a number 1 receiver onto the number 2. But it's the pressure up front from the Florida Gators that gets Carson Beck to kind of work up into the pocket and make the throw. So how does the pressure get home? We're going to explain right here. Florida is going to walk up this defender, but he's going to drop back into zone coverage while this linebacker is going to come. Now, inexplicably, Miami's in a good position here. You're going to see at the snap of the ball, it's a 2-for-1 on that linebacker that comes, and he just splits the double team, just gets small. We don't do a good job of keeping that, and Carson Beck feels it, and now he works up into the pocket. So right here, he's trying to hit this seam route right down the middle of the field, and he's trying to get it into this direction right here. I like the decision to throw here. It's a little bit off platform, doesn't have as much arm juice, and next thing you know, the corner comes up and makes a pick. But you got to go ahead and back this up because, again, great play here by the cornerback for the University of Florida, because he's on the 1 wide receiver, okay? So that's his responsibility outside, one-on-one. But he understood the game of football. He understood the assignment, so now he's off the 1 and jumps onto the number 2. So there you go. Cover 3 principles, it looks like, on that back end. Single high safety on both sides, they do it. But just because you're over 1 wide receiver doesn't mean and excludes you from jumping over to the number 2. That was a great play by the University of Florida. I think it got set up because of the pressure initially forced him off that spot, but that's how the pick happened. So University of Miami is going to register a sack. When you bring 4, you can kind of get creative on the back end. Now, there's going to end up being 5 people who meet at the QB per se, but that's not how it initially was drawn up. How was it drawn up? Well, on the back end coverage, they're just going to go ahead and drop 5 into coverage. You're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to fly out this way and cover here. So you got 5 in the coverage. That's your back end. Okay, copy. Now let's pay attention to the linebackers, because linebackers, they're basically one's mugging, one's matching. What does that mean? Right here, we're going to mug. We're basically going to spy this quarterback, spy this running back. If they don't come, if they're into a blocking scheme, then we will blitz. That will get home. The match, well, the match is going to be right here. You're matching this linebacker here. So wherever they run, I'm in man coverage. So zone on the back end with some mug and some match. And interesting enough, when you see sometimes they're like, oh, two of these guys are in the same field of view. Watch, we'll play this in real time. Watch a linebacker. He's running out right here. Looks like it's 2 for 1. Okay, this is what I'm talking about right here. It's like, oh my goodness, why is 2 defenders here? This looks like it's kind of like a waste of space. But no, sometimes when somebody's in a mug principle or a match principle, right, they're going to run where their guy runs to. So he's running in man coverage. But I really like what the DB behind him does, because he's like, okay, I got somebody underneath. Now let me go ahead and get deep again. So there's the 5, there's the mug, and then now we'll pay attention to the destruction up front, okay? Because these defensive ends are absolutely nightmares. Absolute nightmares. There he is, Akeem Messidor. He's just going to be on this side of the screen right here on your left side. Let's go ahead and highlight him now, and you're going to find him when I find my mouse. There it is. Bam. Okay, so just watch what he does. He's just going to come in, side swipe to tight end, push back that left tackle. He's having a rough go, that left tackle. And next, you know, yeah, he could have had a sack. And then there was that mug linebacker that came in late. And you can see it right there. Here he is. All right. Once nobody was coming, the running back is still in the backfield, quarterback still in the backfield. That's when he gets the dinner bell. Okay, let's join the party. So Miami still only brings 4 to the party. I want the record to state that. Linebacker's rule of engagement, when nobody left, is when he decides to come. But again, great call by the University of Miami there. So offense second half, one of the reasons it's starting to bog down a little bit is just Florida's just committed to it. If we're going to go ahead and stop their run game, if we're going to stop them back behind the line of scrimmage, let's just commit the numbers. And here's the simple numbers, okay? They're going to end up, a safety's going to bail out late, but they have 10 essentially in the box. All right, you're going to see as this play unfolds, there goes the safety back there, but you have 10 in the box. There's 5 along the line of scrimmage. There's another 4 behind those, and then you see a safety who's creeping down in the box. So play call, nothing fancy. It's going to be that RPO, and they're going to do an attachment at the top of the screen with C.J. Daniels. He's just going to kind of fly out for like a swing pass. So right here, this is a first down play. There you go. Keeps it, and where's it going to go? I just think from the rip, pre-snap, I don't know if that plays there. Just too much traffic. Maybe in the future they check out of it completely. That's just one of the things I've noticed. Carson Beck's only option on this play was the check down. I took it to the apex of the wide receiver's routes so we can look at it together. But where do you want him to go with the ball? Right now there's 2-on-1 here. Up top, 2-on-1, 1-on-1, 1-on-1. So University of Florida has it covered relatively well. Carson Beck's going to escape a little bit and get the check down. So we're going to watch this in real time because you know what the end result is, but let's watch. And it's a big play too, so the check down a lot of times isn't the sexy throw, but it's the needed throw. Great awareness here by both the tight end and the cornerback to go ahead and throttle down this RPO for successful play. University of Miami comes out in a 3-by-1 look, but it gets interesting when all of a sudden Florida decides to go ahead and bring this DB blitz off in from the field side. And when they do that, University of Miami's kind of ready for it, and there's a response. Okay, what's the response? You're going to see the tight end, he's one on that 3 side, literally just throttles that down, sees it, and he's trying to find a soft spot in the zone right here. Now, Carson Beck has to adapt because with that blitz, he's got somebody impeding him right in his field of vision, and I love what he does here. Just that little pump gets the DB up in the air, and that is a successful play. You try to throw that right off the rip, that thing's probably tipped up in the air, catastrophe, possibly worse. So great job to throttle that down, see the DB blitz coming, and make a successful play. At the end of the game, sometimes it's the quarterback that says, give me the ball. This one's mine. Other times, it's the offensive line. And when you notice late in this ball game, it's 5 minutes and 47 seconds left. 2nd and 4, 13-7. It's a one-score game. You need to pay attention to the right side of the offensive line right here, okay? Watch what they do to the Florida Gators when it mattered most. Absolutely sealing them off and simply dominating them. This gets us on touchdown's doorstep. It was the offensive line that said, give us the ball. We're taking this one over. You know somebody's going to win along this defensive line. The University of Miami pass rush, especially when he has the opportunity to pin its ears, is absolutely filthy. You saw this on the telecast yesterday, okay? This is Ruben Bain. He's going to win this. This is a lot of bend for a big man. Just gets underneath. He's there. Let's meet at the QB. I don't even think that's the most impressive part, though. I want to go ahead and watch this. Just slide into the defensive tackle position right here. Watch what he does to his. Okay, ready? And get out of here. He's just unlucky that he slips after that. This is a very, very impressive pass rush, Canes fans. You should be very excited. And this is going to be the last clip of the evening. You know, there was another touchdown after this play, and I was going to feature that. But you know what? 23 set personnel, they handed off the ball. They just scored. All right? Bang. But I think I wanted to leave it off on this play because I think this signifies the whole game in its entirety. University of Miami's nothing fancy. Just going to go ahead and give off this run. It was technically an RPO. First contact is going to be here. Okay? You're essentially looking at the 12-yard line. 12-yard line. Let's see how the Miami Hurricanes finish. Get down 10 yards straining at the end of the game. You want to go ahead and have your thumbprint on the game? That's essentially putting your thumbprint and your footprint to suffocate the Gators. And you kind of see this guy right here. He's like, okay, final box of the, yeah, he knows what just happened. You know what just happened, Canes fans. For the final time, I'm your boy Ro, OG member of the Orange Bowl Boys. Stay safe, my friends. And as always, bang.